Hi. Hello. Welcome back. I've got another Big Finish review. Let me get my hair out my face. So, I'm very behind on Big Finish reviews. You'll be getting a lot of them this month being May, because not only do I have two from the Big Finish monthly book club where you get like a really discounted audio, which is this one I'm reviewing today, Who Killed Toby Kinsella, and a Torchwood one called Corpse Day. I've also got four that they've given out free uh, because of everything going on with the lockdown, and then one, the Maltese Penguin, I got ages ago, and then I filmed the review and I've lost the footage, so I have to film the review again. So I've got a lot, including, that's not even considering that there's gonna be even more free ones coming, so that's great. So I want to try and get a bit more like informational with my reviews and actually talk about like everyone involved. So, this is Who Killed Toby Kinsella, which is the first audio sort of anthology. It's technically an anthology because there's two stories within it, but it's more just like a long special story. It's about 2.5 hours, and it's the first in the new Countermeasures series. Now, if you're familiar with classic Doctor Who or just with Big Finish, they have done a Countermeasures series before. Countermeasures appeared in Remembrance of the Daleks. They appeared in Remembrance of the Daleks back in 1988, I want to say. It must have been, yeah. I was very interested because I hadn't really looked up the proper date, so I knew that the new Countermeasures was kind of a continuation of the original 4 Counter series box sets they'd done, but it was also kind of a revival. It's meant to be a jumping on point for new fans. But this was only released a year after Countermeasures Series 4, the fourth and final box set of the original run. So it wasn't like, oh, we haven't done them in a while, let's come back to it. It was like, no, we just want to reinvent the series. Which makes sense. After 4 seasons, it feels intimidating to like listen to them all, so it kind of made sense to start off anew. Which does mean that if you want to listen to this, they have a lot of references to The Light, which is a part of the original 4 seasons. They mention it quite a bit, but it's not too in-depth, and I think the only reason they do mention them is because any fans who have listened to the first 4 box sets are going to want to like see that story continued. I do think anyone invested in those first 4 series who for some reason hasn't listened to this yet will probably be a bit disappointed by how they finish off the Light storyline, because even I was like, that seems a bit sudden, and just like, yeah, we need to cut it. But, it services, it's fine. And I do think this is a great jumping on point for new listeners. It's directed by Ken Bentley. I got my little notes there. Directed by Ken Bentley, and then John Dorney writes the first half, which is also called Who Killed Toby Kinsella, same as the title of the whole story. And then the second half is written by Ken Bentley and is called The Dead Don't Rise. It it's so I haven't listened to their Countermeasures series before, and I have hazy memories of Remembrance of the Daleks. I do remember watching it, but it was a while ago, and I don't have a huge I don't really remember a lot about the Countermeasures role in that story. So I was very intrigued. I was like, I'm going into this. I got it because it was a bargain. It was like half price or more because of the book sale thing. But I quite enjoyed it. It's this one hasn't really got any extraterrestrial elements in it, which I think is interesting, especially as looking at their newest releases. Like, I think this month they just released 2 new stories, which are very out there. They've both got Doctor Who villains in the Movellans and the Daleks. They've probably got a connection because the Daleks and Movellans are enemies. It's interesting that this first one is very much detached. There's really nothing alien in it apart from the brief appearance from the Light. And even then, if you're not familiar with who the Light are, because I'm not really familiar with them either, I'm not really sure. Not really sure what's going on there. But yeah, Countermeasures started back in 2012, and they've released 1 box set a year. This was 2016. I think they might Have they missed out a year? I think they might have actually, yeah, released one thing at least one release every year, even if it was just one story. So yeah, I would say it's quite a consistent series for Big Finish, but it's definitely not their biggest. Like, I think this is for a particular group of fans. So I was wondering how good the quality was going to be. It was actually very good. It's one of the newest ones I've listened to. I think that I've reviewed on this. Actually, it might be the most recent that I've actually listened to. I've bought or got free a load of other ones, but it's definitely the most recent that I've actually listened to. And you can tell, I think they really capture the surroundings, especially at the very big one. The cold open is very excellent. It kind of sets me in the scene, and I was immediately enthralled. I was like, I want to know what's going on. It is kind of Bondian. It's very James Bond. It's the theme tune's cool, actually. I do like the theme tune. My only problem is because it's an audio story. My computer's making noise. Because it's an audio story, there's no visual medium. So between sequences, there's a lot of music, and it's the same kind of music as the opening, and sometimes it's a bit overbearing. But apart from that, I think the sound design is very good. Who did the sound? Well, the music was by Nicholas Briggs, who just does everything. And then I think it says Robert Harvey does the sound. But I do appreciate the music. By the way, if I ever see a Big Finish release where Nicholas Briggs isn't involved somehow, it scares me. I guess I'll get into the main cast. So we have Gilmore, played by Simon Williams. Jensen, played by Pamela Salem or Pamela Salam. I can't remember, but Pamela, good old Pam. Karen Gledhill and Hugh Ross. So, yeah, and Hugh Ross is Toby Kinsella, by the way. They got another cast. The whole cast is very good in this. I think sometimes Mikhail is a bit over the top, but it is an over the top story that, like, I think the whole thing is very much trying to evoke that kind of the sort of spy thriller, but it's very British and it's kind of jokey. You know, it sees the characters reuniting. They're an old group reuniting after hiding undercover, and then then they're on the run because the government thinks they're behind it. You know, it's pretty by the books. In the behind the scenes interviews, which were kind of interesting, there wasn't a lot about the actual story. It was just kind of getting to know the people, which was nice. And I do appreciate whenever these releases have interviews. Leave me alone. I'm quite sad when they don't. But in the interviews, Simon Williams was like, "Oh, and even I can understand this one," so which I appreciated. I thought it was funny. It's a bit long. It is a bit long. I was intimidated when I found out it was. I think it's 2.5 hours, 2 hours 20 if you take out the behind the scenes and stuff. It's a long one. It's a long one. The longest I've listened to so far. But I think if it's up your alley, I don't think you're going to find it too painful. It was pretty good for over 2 hours. I mean, it didn't drag nearly as much as the Victorian age did. Check out my review for that. Didn't drag nearly as much as that, and I don't think that was even an hour. I really enjoyed the whole cast. I thought the titular Toby Kinsella was really good. For like the first, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, it's just following him. Like, we don't even really get to meet the other characters at first. Yeah, obviously it's called Who Killed Toby Kinsella, so he dies, he gets killed. It was interesting how I was expecting it to be a genuine mystery, as like you don't know who did it, but you sort of know who did it, you just don't know why he did it yet, or what his deal is. You know what he sounds like, you know, his, like, he's in it a lot. They have a lot of scenes where they just cut back to Mikhail doing what he does, talking to himself a lot. And I understand it's an audio story, so they have to talk to themselves a lot because they have to establish what's happening. But Mikhail is the most egregious. It's like, why do you keep talking to yourself? His performance is really good, Toby Kinsella. I really enjoyed him. But everyone's really good. You can really feel they've been doing this for a while. There's a big camaraderie. I think their chemistry is great. I think if I ever have the money free to like buy some new Big Finish stuff, I will contemplate doing countermeasures, because it seems a lot more accessible. Like, I don't have to go back and get the original 4 box sets, and apart from this release, there's only 2 series, in series 1 and 2, and they've done 3 specials since. Which is a bit weird. They did like a regular series and then another regular series, and now they've just been relegated to every now and then you're just going to have a couple special releases. But, you know, I think, personally, I think the format of just every year or so being like, and here's a 2-hour countermeasure story, I feel like more people are going to buy that than buy a 4-hour like box set or something like that. Just trying to think about the audience for this. I feel like that's what they want, and because it's like a spy story, I think having more time to develop the mystery is better. Not necessarily in this case, because like I said, it's very simple, but I also understand the simplicity of, you know, I mentioned it earlier, you want people to sort of understand what's going on and jump on board. You want to reintroduce the characters, introduce it to new listeners, have to set up a dynamic, have to set up the mystery, which takes up a lot of time, and then by the end of it, they have to reunite so they can become countermeasures again for the series to continue. So the actual mystery is very simple. It's literally just one guy. He's the villain. His backstory with Toby and the prince and their dean at university is like all fine and dandy. I don't know enough about Toby Kinsella as a character to like really fact check if that makes sense with previously established history of his character. Like they've just pulled out of nowhere that he went to university or something. But I don't know, I mean, I guess it makes sense based on what I know of him from this story alone. I haven't got a whole lot more to say. It's kind of, there isn't a lot to talk about this, which is why I like it. It's not overly convoluted. And I would recommend this if people are interested in this kind of story. And for something new, if you're like a Doctor Who fan, this isn't really steeped in Doctor Who lore. Later releases are, featuring the Great Intelligence, the Daleks, the Movellans, but this one really isn't. And I don't think the original series was either. But I think if you're like, obviously if you know a Big Finish and you want to just jump on board, try it out. Sadly, I should have got this review out sooner. This one isn't part of the book sale anymore. But I think it's worth the price. It's not too expensive. But there are some plot holes. For example, there's this beginning bit where the two, like, hitmen, whatever, random bit at the beginning, the lights go out at Kinsella's, and they, like, talk to themselves and go, how did they do that? Oh, must have friends in high places or whatever. And they try to kill him. I think they tried to kill him. And then, but who did they work for? Because I don't think they worked for Mikhail at all. It didn't seem like they did. Because I don't know. But then, unless Mikhail is just waiting for an opportune moment, it wasn't sure if Mikhail had anything to do with the power cuts. I literally, to this moment, do not know who those two were or who they were working for. Whether they were working for the light, I don't know. I'm going to give this story 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think that it's a great one for new listeners or fans, anything. I think if you're interested in an English spy story that isn't too complicated, has moments of humour, great performances, great sound design, then I would recommend this. Okay, so I don't know what my next Big Finish review will be. I'm actually reviewing this the same day I'm posting this and editing this, so I'm hopefully... Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. Hopefully I'll get this out on time. Hopefully. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I really cannot be more sorry. Actually, no, I could. I don't really care that much because you just don't watch again. But I'll see you in the next one. Maybe. Who knows? I've been really productive today. I'm really proud of myself.